show us that we are loved and we are special.
Her, this last line from her obituary says, "What a beautiful difference one single and seemingly insignificant life has made." She visited people in nursing homes for almost 11 years. She would work with me 8 hours a day. At the end of the day, she was walking crooked like a stagger. She was really tired. She put a lot into her work.
Can I ask you,
Sure.
when she was there at the nursing home, visiting the different patients, did she have that uncanny ability to be able to go to patients that really seem to be on their way to the other side?
Oh, well, we just went from room to room, and everybody just wanted to see her. So I can't tell you if she had that gift. During a bingo game, she would just curl up on the chair, and she would bounce up and down and tug at a blanket to make it just so before she laid herself down. Sometimes I would let her go, and she would go into room after room after room on her own. Some patients didn't appreciate it. They would come to the door and say, "Get this dog out of here," and some just, would just love her up.
My mother, I thought back about the last time I saw my mother smile. My mother was in a nursing home for about 2.5 years. She died at the age of 94, and by the end, she wasn't speaking. My mother was into dementia, as you know, Mickey. And one day, one of the aides volunteer aides, came in with her puppy. And she came by the room, and I said, wait. And so I said, would you bring the puppy in? And my mother was just sitting there in her chair, and I says, can I have the puppy and give it to my mom?
Sure.
And I gave the puppy to my mother, and she reached out and picked it up, and this big smile came on her face. It was, like I said, the last time I saw my mother smile. And it takes took this cute little puppy to do that.
I brought with me a stack of cards which I received from friends, and I'd like to go back to a little later. Tori's cremains here and her collar. A statue of St. Francis of Assisi, which I brought back from Assisi some 25 years ago, and a picture of her there. Our culture, Lorraine, does not acknowledge that when a pet dies, the loss is as significant as a human loss. I mean, you can go to a drugstore and you can get pet cards, as I'm going to show you, but there are really no social support, so we need to be there for one another. And the loss of a pet is hard to imagine if you haven't experienced it yourself.
Right.
Someone's called me up and said to me, "Geez, Mickey, I'm sorry about the dog." They said, "Why don't you come over for some comfort?" And although I knew this person and I could look beyond what was said and I understood what they were saying, it's remarks like that trivialize the pet relationship. She had a name. She was a person. And anyway, in the healing process, I believe that we need to share our thoughts, our feelings, our experiences with others. And that's what I tried to do in this mailogram collage, which I did.
I was talking to one of my doctors today, and I said, "Do you have anything that, I could pass on?" She says, "Well, I have 2 things." She says, "First of all, bury your pet near you, in your own yard or, in a space, and plant above the remains a plant, something living, so that you will be able to see life from death."
Right.
And I thought that was a beautiful expression. And she also said, the other thing is, the thing that helps us grieve is love. And there's 2 schools of thought about replacing a pet. One says you should wait and, grieve the dog. Another school says it is by taking on another love. That we don't lose the love of the pet we had, but that our heart is full and we can still fill it with love.
If I had the living accommodations, the ideal living accommodations, I would have gone out the next day and gotten a dog, realizing that I've done all that I could for this dog, and there are so many others out there who need what I can offer them. So I would not have a problem with that. In trying to reflect on this, the grief process knows no timetable. One doesn't get over it, but we learn to live with the change that the loss brings. I mean, I'll be at work and I'll stop here and there, and I'll think, oh, I've got to get home because, and then I stop myself. And signs of healing include rejoicing in the memories and recognizing that the relationship has changed us for the better, and she certainly has.
Yes.
But if we remain upset, Lorraine, if it affects us socially or affects our job or our concentrations, there's other issues that are being triggered here, and we really need to work to get some professional help. I think almost always pet owners feel a sense of guilt. Well, I could have done this better, I could have done that better.
Yeah.
I've caught myself in that, and I need to remember that the day that I brought her to the vet for the last time was only 1 hour in 11 years of having her. And surely all of us need to consider and to recall all that we've done right. And the matter of euthanasia, of putting an animal to sleep, is never taken lightly. And in some ways I was lucky because it was anticipated. I knew, you know, with every beginning there's an ending, but I especially knew that that day would come, and it just came on a day when I wasn't ready.
Yeah. So you let your friends know that the significant relationship about your pet dying. What I'm saying is you didn't trivialize it. You know, because I know you called me and told me, and you know, I expressed to you the same thing I would express to anyone who lost a loved one. It's the same thing.
Tori worked very, very hard with people, and she deserved to have her passing noted in the newspaper. And so I typed up the obituary and sent it to one of the papers, and they called me and they told me that they would print it.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was great. You know, there is nothing probably wrong, I think personally, if you have lost a pet, to go to your church minister, and after the service or before the service, just say, you know, I really would like for you to know that I lost a very, very dear pet, and please pray for me. You don't need to pray for the dog. The dog is with God,
right.
And you know, that just so that they know how significant that is to you.
Well, in our churches, as you know, we've blessed animals on the Feast of St. Francis, and hence St. Francis' statue, when there are pictures there of Tori at Blessing of the Animals, and certainly in their passing, that would be a follow-up to that celebration.
Yeah, some people would like to associate those 5 stages of death and dying to the loss of a pet, but I think sometimes those things come before, like denying that the dog is or the pet there's anything wrong with it or whatever. I don't think I've seen too many people get angry. I think they just are probably more mournful than anything else.
I think it's so important, Lorraine, when we ache, when our heart aches, and we tend to withdraw. It's so easy to pull inward, and we need to reach out. We need to reach out and celebrate the pet's life, to tell the story, to write a poem, to have a memorial service, to create a living memorial, do a fundraiser. There's so many other pets and animals in need, to share memories, do scrapbooking, make donations in your pet's name to help other pets, and to keep something special behind, cremains or a collar or something, and enshrine that. There's so much that we need to do, and we need to open ourselves up